Hi and welcome to this week's episode of The Guest List. This is a solo episode and the central theme for today's discussion it's about education. It's about the ability to kind of continue that educational journey after school, after college, after university, and still investing in your ability to progress and advance. And there's a couple of parts to today's podcast episode. The first part is a journey that I really embarked upon, probably going back to 2012. I read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And if you haven't read it, it's a book you should go and get, and you should have a read through. It's not an overly complicated book, and it's a relatively quick read, but it talks about the story of having the choice of going down a route of working hard, your normal 9 to 5, and almost kind of being broke at the end of it, doing what is expected of you. And then it talks about going down the rich dad route, which is about assets and investment and adding value and learning and educating yourself. And it put me on a path where I wanted to go out there and take risks. I wanted to improve my livelihood, my family's livelihood, and the options and choice that comes from that. And there's a cost involved. Yes, you can read lots of books, you can go to free seminars, you can educate yourself through reading journals and books and going online and utilising Google, and it's all good stuff. But for me, I think I needed to push myself outside that boundary and invest in my own education. And at the time, I was going through various routes. I looked at trading, I looked at FX and commodity trading, and I was doing day trading at the time. And my first big investment was to invest in the stock market and to get educated in technical trading, understanding charts, and looking to try and supplement my day-to-day income by trading. And then I looked at property, and I got involved with property going back to about 2016. And I was investing in going on 2-3 day courses, attending seminars, and doing things outside of the normal day-to-day work. And the people you meet, the accountability you get, the ability to advance, whether it's in your chosen subject or not, whether it's additional things that you're looking to learn and educate yourself in, has propelled me to levels I would never have expected to achieve. And it all starts with spending that first pound, that first bit of cash that makes you accountable to whatever you've invested in. If you always take the free stuff, you always go on the free courses, you take the free seminar days, they're great in the fact that you can learn and you can educate, but you've got no what they call skin in the game, and you've got no accountability to actually go and put things into action and kind of make something with it. And it's an important lesson for me. I've talked, I think on previous podcasts, that I'm now doing my GCSE Spanish next year. And that's off the back of having lessons and not attending or postponing or cancelling them. And I've paid to do my GCSE next year because firstly, it's something I wanted to do. And it's important to me to learn another language. It's something that I've wanted to do for a number of years. But actually investing in my own education to pay for the exam means I've got to go out there and achieve it, because I don't like to waste money. I don't like to spend money where there's no return. So for me, it's a good investment because it makes me accountable. The importance of kind of running through this is I want to talk to you about my Recruitment Mastery Programme in today's podcast. And I want to talk to you about the journey that I've been on to get there, but also the importance as to the education element to it and why it's important to put that bit of cash down to make yourself accountable. So some of you will know this story. Back in 2019, I had worked with a recruitment company for about 11 years, worked with them. I'd opened a couple of their offices. I'd grown the 2 regions to a turnover of £7 million. There was 19 staff across the 2 regions, and it worked really well. And I loved working with the business. But it come to a point where I wanted to go down a different route. Top Biller was published and was out there, so that had become the business card in many ways. And I was going to take 6 months of basically working for myself, working with my wife, going back to the day-to-day recruitment, getting back to enjoying just recruiting and not necessarily being responsible for anyone. And the plan was, after that 6 months, to either set up a new recruitment agency, start all over again, build that business, or become a third-party consultant and help and work with local recruiters to help them build their recruitment businesses, consult and educate and add value to individuals that want to get to that next level in terms of their career. And at that 6 month point, COVID hit, and the majority of the recruiters, certainly in the UK, were on furlough. They were sat at home. Recruitment businesses weren't functioning as they should be. People weren't in the offices. Sales were obviously hit. Revenues were hit, and people found themselves in unusual circumstances. So I put a post out on LinkedIn and said, if there's any recruiters out there that need a bit of a cuddle, a rant, a chat, a laugh, a cry, whatever it might be, I'm going to clear out my diary next week, and you can book in for a 30-minute Zoom call, and we have a conversation and see what we can do and what value we can add. And if I'm honest, I thought there would probably be 10, 12 people book in, and it would be friends, it would be ex-colleagues, it would be people booking in really for a bit of a laugh and a joke, and it wouldn't be necessarily taken seriously. And I was hugely surprised, if I'm honest. It ended up being a week of 62 Zoom calls, and every single one of the 62 I didn't know previously, I hadn't spoken to before, and it was all very recruitment specific. But what I realised was, as the 62 attendees were global, we had individuals from Hong Kong, Japan, South Africa, New Zealand, Canada, Switzerland, Singapore, obviously the UK, Ireland. The list went on, and it was a crazy week. And I got to meet a lot of really good, motivated, ambitious individuals, but also consultants that were concerned and anxious, nervous about what was around the corner and what was going to be the next stage in their journey. And what I got out of that week was, there were lots of problems, there was lots of issues, there was lots of areas of concern, and one of the biggest things that came out was the lack of training, the lack of people to turn to in the industry, that kind of left a lot of recruiters isolated. They didn't know who to go and speak to. They felt they didn't necessarily have all the tools or armory to go out to market and fulfill a good, solid recruitment service. There was huge areas of potential improvement in terms of how consultants could get educated and improve on their return and become a better consultant. And this is what got me thinking in terms of, how can I continue to add value? How can I create content that is well received and welcomed within the recruitment industry? Something that was really important to me was, I wanted to empower the individual. I wanted that person that either is the quiet, unassuming individual that sits in the corner of that room or the office and wants more. They're ambitious to become a better biller, become a better consultant, and deliver a better service. I wanted the individual to say, that is me. I want some of this. I am motivated and eager to do well, and I need that support and that accountability around me. So that was first on the agenda. The second part of it, I wanted to create a education and training program that added value, discussed and focused around strategy, process, procedure, structure, and elements that I knew overall the market quite often lacks. And individuals within the market will quite happily put their hand up and say, yes, great at sales, great at business development, building relationships, going out on meetings and being the voice of the market. But quite often we'll leave a trail of destruction behind us because we don't know how we've got there. We don't know how we've managed to have a successful month or a really poor month, because nothing's tracked, nothing is processed or structured in a way to be able to manage it. So I wanted to create something that people could work to. The biggest feedback I've had over the years that I've been in recruitment, certainly from a recruiter's perspective, is when you have training days, or you bring in an external trainer, you'll have consultants sat in a training room for half a day, a full day, maybe 2 or 3 days. And the biggest resentment is the majority of salespeople, the majority of consultants feel like they're missing out on business because they're not sat at their desk making phone calls. They're sat in a training room learning about what they should be doing and not actually doing it. And quite often the engagement levels and the interaction isn't great because consultants would rather be somewhere else. So I wanted to create something that individuals could dip in and out of, and they could take an element of the program and work through it at their own pace, but have all the elements to be able to do that. I needed it to fill the voids. I needed the program and the education to solve the problems that the majority of recruiters have. And that was why it was important to retain all the elements, but in a structured and methodical process. The first program I ran was hugely successful, and it was run through a Facebook group. And it worked really well. The feedback was really good, high levels of engagement. The feedback was excellent across all the modules. It was split over 12 weeks. There's 4 to 6 videos per module. And there's a downloadable workbook, worksheets for each module, lots of downloadable content and worksheets, scripts, cheat sheets, everything that you need concerned with each subject. And then I started to add elements in, and obviously we had live videos, live questions. We had the ability to have that interaction. The second course progressed and we were able to build on the value and the content. And then the third course, which finished halfway through this year, has been another successful run. And lots of areas have been learned, lots of value being added, and the program continues to grow the more people that go through it. I'm now at a stage where I'm looking to launch this again, but I want it to be readily available for whoever needs that training at any point. And that's what I'm looking to do over the next 2 weeks. All the subjects are covered. If you want more details in terms of the 12-week Recruitment Mastery Programme, drop me a note in the comments, send me a message across any of the social media platforms that you may well be either watching this on, listening to this, or picked up the links from. It's going to be running as of the first week of September, all being well. Within that, you've got all the videos, you've got all the documents, you've got the worksheets, you've got the live webinars that I did last year. I'm looking at continuing with the one-to-one strategy calls. And the likelihood is we will be running a live Zoom meeting every fortnight. Be interested to know what your thoughts are on this if you're a recruiter and you listen to this and this is something that sounds of interest to you. The main purpose of the program is to make you accountable. It's to give you education. It's to allow you to grow as an individual. And of course, there's a cost to it, but that's going back to certainly my lessons in the fact that you put some skin in the game, you're more likely to be attentive. You're more likely to put things into action. And actually, you're going to get far more out of it than the cost of the program. It's highly detailed for anybody that knows me knows it's going to be detailed. It's very organised, and it contains everything I believe you need to ensure you can go out there and become the top billing consultant that we all set out to do. I hope you've enjoyed this podcast. A little bit different to the normal ones that we put out, but I think we're at a stage now where hopefully you're getting a flavour for what this podcast is about and what we're looking to do. It's all about empowerment. It's about encouragement. It's about growth, education, and going out there and achieving what you set out to achieve. I trust everyone's bought the book. The book's gone out this week, A Personal Brand Story. We cover elements of what's contained in the book within the program as well. So make sure you go and grab a copy. It's selling really well. I know Amazon sent messages today, say they're struggling with demand, which is great. So go and grab a coffee. Let me know what you think. If you're interested in more details on the 12-week Recruitment Mastery Programme, drop me a message across any of the social media. Drop me an email at steve@sguest.co.uk. And I look forward to working with you. Take care.